here's a scenario that we have for this time around. We have 3 teams that work on the same product and use the same technology. All 3 teams report to the same manager. This manager recently asked the Scrum Master for metrics that can be used for tracking performance and suggested the use of tracking the numbers of hours worked and the number of items completed per sprint. How would you tackle this? This scenario or this problem that we have that is presented to us, let me be clear, is not a Scrum issue, is not an Agile issue. It is a pay for performance issue. It is a pay issue. It is a larger issue, and it persists in everything else outside of Agile too. So what do we use the performance metrics for? What purpose is it for? Is it for promotion? Is it for motivation? What are we going to use it for? I think that's something to consider when we think about the metrics that we want to use to measure. Ideally, you want to put together a metrics to measure towards things that you want to see, right? Do we want to increase in collaboration? Let's look at the suggested items. So number 1, suggested in terms of tracking the number of hours worked. So my assumption here is that we're probably thinking about how many hours an individual put into a sprint. So I would say that that's not a good measurement, because the more hours that you work in the week doesn't indicate that you're delivering value, does not indicate that you're doing anything productive for that matter. You might just be spending time. Doing less hours also doesn't mean that you're efficient for that matter. It's just a number. The second suggestion here is to measure the number of items completed in a sprint. So what does that mean? So do we mean that more items is better in a sprint or less is better? Well, if you want to do more, you just break it down more, right? Deliver more items, smaller chunk of work, right? Smaller chunk of stories, maybe not even good stories, maybe are just tasks. The more of those things you get delivered, the better you're assumed to be performing. Again, not a good indication of performance. So if Scrum values team performance, how do we measure that? Well, there's a couple of things we could do. Now, if we think about Scrum wanting a team of people working together, which means collaboration. So I want to measure collaboration. How are we helping each other out? Now, one of the things that we could do is the 360 feedback. I know it's not a fixed numbers, but it's a way for us to understand, hey, are we helping people? Are we encouraging people to help out? So that's one way of doing it. Other team-based metrics we can put in place is cycle time, right? In terms of delivering work, valuable work, a story. How long does it take for it to flow through the systems? What's the cycle time through it, right? So that's one way. So ideally, the faster we get things through our system, the better it is. But ensuring that it's a good value that we're delivering. The other thing to measure is quality. The number of defects that escape the system. Do we produce a lot of defects or not down the path? So there's something is a good measurement that we can do. Are we delivering value? That's another thing to consider. How do we measure that value? So think about that. Are we meeting our business goals? Do we have the feedback that tells us that we're doing good? Are we meeting our customers' needs or not? Other things to consider in terms of measurement is code coverage and test coverage. Why is it so difficult to give a straight answer when it comes to performance? Why can't we just have some simple metrics to do this? Well, one of the things that we need to recognize is that in the development world, we're dealing with knowledge workers. We're dealing with knowledge. It's not something that we can do in manual tasks and in manual skills. It's very different. So it makes it really hard to measure. There are some things that I would share for you to look into. One is from the Management 3.0 things. I'll share the links below for you guys to take a look at. And the other one to consider is the things that Dan Pink has put together, around motivation. How do we pay for people to be motivated? So what motivates individuals? So think about that. So how would you address this issue? I'm curious as to what you would do, or what suggestion, or what have you done before, what have you seen before? Provide a comment below. Maybe, collectively we can give some ideas as to how we can tackle this. That's it. Bye.